I'm Dr. Chamonix Blanche, ex-corporate and academical, turned CEO and board member of several companies and mother of 4 little extraordinary kids. But it wasn't that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the know-how, and the time to focus on designing and really going after the life that I so wanted to live. A life of freedom, of fairness, and of being fair dinkum to who I really was and what I wanted to get out of this fleeting time that we have on Mother Earth. Fast forward to many lessons learned and moving halfway around the world to the most amazing country, you'll see the life that I now live. One that gives me more safety and freedom than I ever thought would be possible, and that really only existed as a daydream while I was living in South Africa. I created Chamonix TV to give you true spot advice on how you can also live a life in this amazing country, and so that you can see how another couple like us now live in Australia with 4 little kids hearing down under. And I'll be providing you with step-by-step strategies so that you can make your Aussie dream a reality too. If you're a keen future Aussie who's looking to create a life that excites you and offers you safety, freedom, and opportunity, you have come to the right place, my friend. Welcome aboard. Thank you, Percy, for joining us. It's really great to have you online. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well, thank you. I've been great.
And you've been enjoying Australia day to day?
Yes, I have been. I spent Australia Day with my family, which is really good. Yeah, so having some quality time with the family is always a good thing.
It is, yes, that extra special day that we get in the year that we don't have to work. And whereabout are you in Australia, Percy?
In Melbourne.
Ooh, is it warm or cold there? Because I know it was really hot here in Perth, and apparently it went all over to your side of the world.
That's right. So it's been hot for the past few days, and then we had a bit of showers today. So, just to cool it down a bit.
Good,
So
yes,
nothing
nice.
hectic.
Yes, no, sometimes it can get really hot in Australia, but it's nice if you can have something cool to drink. I wanted to show you my cool drink, but I've got a coffee, so it's not really cool. And Percy, how long have you been in Australia?
Well, I've been here for 8 years now. Yeah, so
How did you come in? What's your story? How did you start thinking about Australia and end up in Australia?
Well, the funny thing is, when I was in primary school, I used to tell my friends that I'm gonna go and work overseas and live there. And obviously, I didn't know anything about Australia then or much because I was still a child. But I just always had it in me that I was gonna go overseas and live there for some reason. And in 2007, an opportunity came where the choir where I grew up in the community had an opportunity to come and tour in Australia. So that was really, really good fun. So I was part of that choir tour. There were 21 of us. The choir was called the Connection Choir from Guanyuswa, near Hillcrest in Bothas Hill. And we toured around Australia. We went to, radio stations, and we went to Sunrise as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really good tour. And then I then decided when I was touring that I'm actually going to come back here and live here because I really loved Australia then.
That's incredible. So that was in 2007, you said?
That's right.
So when did you actually come over to Australia? Like more formally?
Yeah, so more formally. So I went back, obviously, with the choir, and then 2013, I came back. Yes, I came back to live in 2013.
And what visa did you come on?
So I was in subclass 300, which is prospective marriage visa. So with an intention to marry. So I found the one while I was here, and I came back to be with that one.
So you found her when you were here the first time in 2007, is that right?
Yeah, so I first saw her here in 2007, and then she had an opportunity to go to South Africa and live there for about 3 years. So that's when things started happening, and then we decided eventually that we want to move this side of the world.
How exciting. That's a beautiful romantic story. That's awesome. And she's Australian, I assume, and she was born
Yeah,
and bred here?
yeah, that's right. Her name is Katie. Her surname is Shozi now because we are married. She took my surname,
Good.
and yeah, so she's Australian. She was born in Melbourne, which is why we're in Melbourne, because it's easier with because we've got two kids now. One is 5 and one is 3, so it's easier with grandparents, and yeah, so that they can look after the kids as well.
Yes, it helps a lot, doesn't it? Oh, goodness, it's tricky with those little ones, and it's really helpful if there's an extra set of hands that can look after them. So tell me, Percy, you are a author, a writer?
Yes, I've actually published my first book in 2012, and yeah, the title of that book is I Am Sold. And in 2016, I published another one, and I've titled it Wings of an Eagle. And last year in December, I've written a children's book. Um, so it's inspired obviously by my two kids. Yeah, so
That's
yeah.
beautiful. And what are those first two about?
So they are motivational poetry. I can show you. So this is the
Yeah.
first one. I'm Sold. It's motivational poetry. So and then Wings of an Eagle, which is a 2016 one, also motivational poetry.
Beautiful, yeah.
And in December, I published Who Am I, which is talking about culture. So with this one, I published it in December, and the inspiration was my wife and I. We were looking for children's books, that have culture, that has, similar color as our kids, and we were struggling to find them here in Australia, and we looked for quite a long time, and then eventually I decided to write these stories, because there are so many people who are looking for these stories as well, and for our kids as well. So they're really excited. They've memorized the whole book now, which
Oh,
is really
wow.
exciting. Yeah.
So did you actually write it with them in mind? And are they some of the characters in the book?
Yeah, that's right. So basically, if you read the book, it's fiction and non-fiction, which is quite interesting because yeah, I never written something like it before. So I had my family in mind when I was writing it, but I didn't want to just talk about my family. I wanted to create this fiction character. Her name is Zola, which is a name that has alphabets for or some letters from my firstborn and my lastborn as well. So when you mix them together, you get Nala and Zara. So so I had that
Beautiful.
in mind, and I created a character there. And yeah, some of the stories you can see they align with my story.
Oh, that's beautiful. What a beautiful story. And so you've published it in this December, just past.
Yeah, 2020. So
And how did it go? It's been difficult times though with COVID.
well, surprisingly, it's been going really well. So people have received it very, very well. So within 2 days, more than 100 books were gone. Uh,
Wow, that's awesome. Well done.
all over Australia, people have been like, "Oh, we've been waiting for these kind of stories for such a long time. Thank you so much for writing these stories." And there's been a thirst there. This has been there for so many years, and I'm really excited, to be part of the future because it's part of the series as well. So there are a lot of books aligned with Zola that are still coming. So really excited.
So tell us, how can people get their hands on Zola?
So it's easy. They go to my website. My website is percyspoems.com, and they'll find all the books available there.
Oh, that's great. That's really awesome. And Percy, you said you came on a prospective visa marriage, and obviously then got married, I guess, as soon as you got here, or how long did you guys take before you tied the official knot?
Well, the funny thing is, in 2012, we had this big Zulu, celebration sort of, like it's more like a Zulu wedding sort of thing, where we had more than 500 guests. It was massive. It was so amazing. And then in 2013, I think it was only about 2 weeks when I was here, and then we got married again, which was a really beautiful celebration as well.
So the official marriage was in South Africa, or was the official marriage here?
yeah, in 2013 here in Australia.
Okay. And what do you guys do? I know you're a writer. Is that your full-time role, or do you do something else as well?
Yeah, I do music as well, so I do a lot of gigs. Yeah, which is really exciting because obviously I came here doing music, and that's one of the things that kept me going and really excited here in Australia to keep doing what I was doing back home. So I still do a lot of music gigs and as well
Singing or an instrument?
singing. I play the piano as well, so I play other instruments and I sing. So
Oh, lovely. And is it a one-man band or do you do it with other people?
it's a mixture. Sometimes I'm just hired to play the piano. Sometimes I'm hired to play the piano and sing. And sometimes they need a band, and I've got close contacts who are really talented musicians that I call upon as well when it's that time.
And Katie, what does she do?
Well, she works for the council now. Yeah, so she recently started a new job with the council in Knox
Mhm.
Council, where she deals with media and yeah, dealing with 3-year-old kinders and yeah, all fun stuff.
That's great. And you've been in Melbourne all this time, or have you moved any other cities in Australia?
Yes, I have been living here. I just went to other cities just to visit. Went to Broome and Tasmania and around, but yeah, just mainly in Melbourne.
So what did you think about those cities that you saw?
Well, Broome was beautiful. We went there for our honeymoon actually, and I think it's beautiful, but it's quite hot. In South Africa the weather is normal. Well, Broome is like 43, and like, whoa, what is this 40 something? You're not used to this kind of weather. Yes, and Tasmania is good. We were there actually in December, just before Christmas, for 2 weeks with my family because my sister-in-law lives in Tasmania as well. Just we went and saw her, and when it's hot there, it's hot. It's not as bad as Broome, and when it's cold, it's really cold. It's get icy in Tasmania. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, it can get really cold. And so your family has been here to visit you from South
Yeah,
Africa?
they have been. They came when my wife and I got married, and they also came when we bought a house, and they also came when our kids were born as well.
Oh, wow, that's lovely. And they like it in Australia, or what did they say about it?
Love it. They love it. It took me a while to convince my mom because she was like, "Oh, I've never been on a plane. I'm not gonna." And I was like, "Oh, maybe if you don't come, maybe I will not visit South Africa." I was joking, but because I wanted it to be there for our wedding. So I did everything I could, but after that, she really loved it. So she,
Oh.
she yeah.
And any siblings, any brothers and sisters in South Africa that might want to come over? You mentioned you've got a sister-in-law in Tasmania.
Yeah, that's right. So I've got a brother that lives with my mom in South Africa, and yeah, so I only have one brother. It's two of us.
Oh, do you miss them, surely?
Miss them dearly. I often speak with them. I was actually skyping with my brother just before.
Isn't
Yes,
it wonderful that we have technology these days that we can just it's almost like you and I having a coffee in the same room. It's
that's right. Yep, yep. I've got my rooibos here.
mm,
Mm.
good on you. Is it a rooibos latte or just a rooibos with water?
Just rooibos with water.
Yes, I do love my robustia as well. I do appreciate all these interesting flavors that you can get these days. I know you get yeah, a lot in South Africa. It would be really nice if you're watching and you have a South African shop, please bring us some of those interesting flavored rooibos drinks over. That would be nice. And Percy, tell me, how did you settle into Australia when you first came? Oh, I say not first came over. When you first moved over to Australia, when you came on your more permanent position, did you find it difficult to settle in, or how was that? And how did you go about making friends?
So with that, I sticked with what I knew mostly, which was music. So I made a lot of friends through music, and for me, yeah, that's how I coped. I said to my wife, the way I can, you know, make it here is to write a lot of songs and be busy with music and write a lot of poems and write books and do all the creative stuff, do a lot of dancing. I was teaching dance at Deakin University as well. So do all the artistic stuff, and that's how I survived by what I knew and loved best.
That's a very clever way of going about. And people obviously then gravitated towards you because they could see that you're happy and enjoying what you're doing. And then that's a good way of finding something to talk about and to connect about.
That's
So so have you made a lot of Australian friends, and I assume your wife had a lot of friends here as well because she grew up here?
yes, definitely I have. Yes, I've made a lot of friends.
Or do you hang out with South Africans?
That's funny. I actually have a friend who was in South Africa when I moved here, and I told him that if he wants to move, he should move quicker. And he eventually listened to me and he came, and now he lives here. So I see him as well. But for so many years, I didn't have any South African friends because where I live, I don't even know someone from, like in my area. Yeah, I don't have any South Africans here. So I just made friends with Australians, and I've got other friends from Teso as well. Uh, from Zambia and other part of Africa, and I'm like, this is amazing because when I was in South Africa, I actually never had an opportunity to make friends with those people. Like, oh, these are my brothers and sisters from Africa, but I never got an opportunity to meet with them. But now that I'm here in Australia, I've actually made friends with them, which is really exciting as well.
That's right. Yeah, Australia is so multicultural. It's amazing. And just somebody else I was talking about talking to yesterday said, you could be in Australia and almost feel like you've been around the world because the cultures and the food that you can get here is like, it's almost like traveling around the world. You just get everything here. You don't need to even leave Australia.
True. That's true. Definitely.
And Percy, tell me, what's the one thing, apart from friends and family, what's the one thing that you miss the most about South Africa?
Wow. Apart from friends and family.
Because everybody says friends and family, and that makes sense. But is there anything else that you specifically like, oh, I wish I could have that or go there or...
Well, I miss Bunny Chow because every time when I go back, I actually have my Bunny Chow there. Yeah, so I miss food. Yeah, some food, and
Do you still cook South African food, traditional food at home?
yes,
Because you can get most of the stuff from the South African shop. I mean, the ingredients.
that's right. And they do actually have a Bunny Chow here in the South African shop as well. I remember having it in Croydon. So I do cook South African food, and I've taught my wife how to cook South African food and to speak Zulu.
Oh,
And
that's great. Yeah. Hamba gashle, sala gashle. I remember a few of them because where I grew up in Transvaal, we learned Zulu at school. So yeah, I still have a few of the basic words in me. So do you still speak Zulu to anybody? Do your kids speak Zulu?
yes, I teach my kids to speak Zulu, and I teach them Zulu songs and Zulu dances. They're really good. Yeah, they learn.
And can they sing as beautiful as you can?
They do actually. Yeah, they do. They're really.
Oh, that's great. And Percy, obviously our friends watching this interview, mostly of them in South Africa usually, they wish that they could come to Australia. What would you say to them? Would you say they should come, or what would your advice be to people in South Africa watching this right now?
Wow, it's quite a big responsibility to tell them to come. I mean, if you feel like your path is leading you to come to a different country, as I said, for me, it was quite an amazing thing because I knew from childhood that I wanted to come overseas. I didn't know that it was Australia, but I knew there was something in me that stayed from primary school, and I didn't know anyone from overseas, obviously, at the time. So if you feel like there's a stare and you feel like, oh, there's a need, and you think Australia would be the best home for you, by all means, you're more than welcome. So
And you're happy here? You like it here?
I love it here. I love it here.
Would you go back to South Africa to go and live there again?
Funny enough, I went for about a year before we bought a house, because we knew we've already decided that we wanted to live in Australia. So we went back to South Africa, and then I worked there as a marketing manager for a company, and we stayed there for a year, and I was a music director as well, and then we came back. So to live there for quite a long chunk of time, like a year, 6 months, I can't go back, but this is my new home now.
Good. Thanks so much for sharing your story with us. It's been absolutely lovely hearing you talk about how you've adapted to your new country, and how incredible that your dream has come true, your childhood dream. And you won't believe it, Percy, but I have exactly the same story in terms of when I was a child. I always dreamt of living overseas, and I didn't know that it was going to be Australia either. And then I ended up here, which is just, yeah. So great to hear somebody else has got the same dream that came true.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care, and it was lovely chatting to you, and enjoy the lovely weather over in Melbourne.
Thank you so much.
Just tell us once again your website address, please, for Percy's Poems.
Percy'sPoems.com. It's very easy.
Okay, PERCYS.
Yep. And then
POEMS.com.
.com.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, Percy. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you had fun, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and then it'll make sure that you never miss a thing. I'll see you same time and same place next week. Bye for now.